Two unemployed actors. Two unemployed actors. They're just between.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we are coming to you, to each other via remote. Remotely. But we are broadcasting through Corona World as us actors are very resilient. I know it's a difficult time, but we're here to motivate you as an actor or even just distract you from the world for a bit. What do you reckon, Sam?
Yes.
It's a plan.
Yes, I agree. I think it's a good plan, Max.
Keeps us busy anyway.
Took you all of a week to come up with that?
It did actually. I wrote it down. I thought it was really cool.
Really?
Yeah. Anyway.
Got a script.
Moving on.
You can't work without a script.
Moving on.
Yep.
I've got lots has happened. Lots is happening. It's all about the pivot, being able to change, and lots of voiceover stuff, lots of Q&As, lots of industry stuff, lots of opportunities as well. So it's been a busy and a productive week, which rarely happens. Normally it's just busy and stressful or
Cool.
briefly productive. But anyway, so, as usual,
as
usual, it's like, we always talk about getting off the couch and getting stuff done as actors. And I think it's kind of the same now. It's like, certainly a lot of talent in the industry, whether in front of or behind the camera, are available. I'll take you through in this episode a few Q&As I was a part of that were very exciting and very informative as well. And free, which is, even better. So,
Even better.
First of all, I was very excited to hear from Julia Garner, who plays Ruth in Ozark. I just binged, about 3 days after it was dropped, I binged the entire season 3 of Ozark. Amazing.
Oh, nice.
I love that show. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And Ruth is one of my favourite characters. Basically, Variety organised a Q&A, so you could send some questions in advance. And they'd run it over Instagram. There she was for an hour, and so it went overtime. And really...
Who ran it?
Variety magazine, Hollywood. Really informative. And I guess, when you don't have journos asking the questions, and it's an Instagram thing, it's not like, being recorded for all posterity, you're probably going to get a bit more candid. And I think, look, she was really interesting in relation to the Ozark journey for her character.
Oh, yeah.
Really informative.
What did you ask?
For me, it was around acting tips, particularly with the accent, and
yes.
because it's very heavy accent for her in the production, and it was kind of like, she'd worked with. There's a dialect coach attached to the production, and working with that dialect coach really helped to unlock 90% of it. Then there's a 10%.
What accent was she doing?
Pardon?
What accent was she doing?
You haven't seen Ozark?
I started watching it, and a long time ago.
Sam, it's like a really heavy sort of southern accent. I know I'm going to get it wrong in my description because there's more to America than just North American accent, standard American, and South.
No, my family's getting into it now, but I tried it ages ago. I didn't keep going.
It's a great, absolutely worth it. Absolutely worth it. It's a fantastic story. It gets heavy real quick, and the finale is amazing. There's a really powerful scene in season 3 as well, where Julia has a huge I'm not going to give away too much spoilers, but she has a huge confrontation with Helen. So that Janet McTeer is the actress, and who's really formidable, lovely in real life apparently, but absolutely formidable in her role as Helen, and have this huge showdown. And it's like, you'll call it, I call it the scene of the season, but certainly the scene of the season for Julia. And anyway, so she wins the Emmy for Best Supporting. The next day they're filming that huge scene. And so it's kind of like celebrate for 45 minutes, and then she's like, oh God, now I'm nervous about the next day's scene. And she's sort of an actor that really gets nervous quite a lot. And not just when the project ends and, oh my God, what's happening next? Or, will I muck up this scene, and will it be the last scene I ever do? And, oh my God, I'm going to be horrible on it. So, which pushes her to work even harder.
Yeah, right.
So it works for her. And look, it was an amazing scene. But she said basically they did a lot of blocking and rehearsal. So she knew when she walked in the door what line, when she leant over the desk what line, as Helen stands up, what line.
So she was answering these questions live, like on
yeah.
Instagram, a video?
Yeah. So it was a great, I mean, they were channeled through the journalist at Variety to make it easier. And she, monitored the chat. But it was really open and easy to get insights. And in particular in this scene, how it came about, like with the rehearsals that allowed her and Janet to both, be able to be comfortable to take it up a notch, trying to surprise each other. Like she leans over the desk, she slaps it with her hand. Like that wasn't a part of the blocking or anything. That was just her in the moment. And she could be free in the moment and do stuff to sort of surprise Helen. And then Helen would react by doing stuff to surprise her. And take after take, they were sort of pushing it that way comfortably because they've got the bedrock of the scene, all the basic blocking and the script and everything down. So, you're not going to step out of frame or something ridiculous, but it's really a scene that you can't sort of muck it up. Like you muck that scene up, there's no sort of getting around it. So, and that's it. That was her words. She was really, really concerned. And the accent, she worked with a dialect coach and was really happy with where she was at. And there's a few sort of key phrases and things sort of help her drop in. But after 3 seasons, like she can sort of drop in and out of Ruth. Like she gave us a few tidbits as Ruth on over Instagram, which was fantastic, especially some of the catchphrases from the huge scene.
Like in her accent as well?
Yeah, as Ruth, as her character Ruth.
Oh, as Ruth, yeah.
And it was really exciting. So and then that happened, and I got straight on to another one. This was Australian. The Screen Producers Australia have a Q&A every now and then, almost every day recently. The one I tuned into, the CEO of Screen Producers Australia, Matthew Diener, was having a chat to the CEO of Screen Queensland, Kylie Munich, about the state of the industry at the moment, the impact of the coronavirus, of COVID-19 crisis, and really, the priorities are forming a team of key stakeholders. So, someone from Gold Coast City Council who liaises with the Movie World Studios and the film industry on locations and that sort of stuff. And her and a couple of other key people just about, as soon as we're ready to go and the world comes back, even in part to somewhat normal, they're ready to go with, what can we pull forward? What can we make right away? In the meantime, mentorships, online learning, growing networks and events. And this is even before, things get back to normal. So it was really interesting to know that behind the scenes, there's lots of bodies that are some government owned and run, some of them government funded, and some of them private that are all about, let's prioritize so we can get up and running as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I've heard they want to, obviously all the production companies want to get straight back into it when they can. So
totally
preparing, and
I mean the quicker, I have a feeling the quicker you can tool up as a production company and be ready to go, the better.
And that includes casting because we've got these self-tapes.
And there's casting still happening. I know I'm helping out. The agency reached out to me. Young guys got an audition with Moliners for a movie role.
Same as me. I told you about that last week, probably.
Okay, I'm not sure. I don't know if this is the same one, but anyway,
Moliners is probably only doing one though.
They've got a few projects that are happening. They said there's some happening that are casting for as soon as possible, but TBC when the world gets back to normal. There's some for casting for productions that are later on in the year that are sort of greenlit but subject to.
Is it the 18 to 22-year-old male lead role in a feature film, Aussie one?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the script
yet.
You
haven't.
But on Thursday, because the agent put him in touch, and because I've got a bit of a studio set up, blah blah blah. So on Thursday he's going to drop by and we'll do that. We'll do that scene and help him capture that for the audition. So
and your agency wanted you to help.
Yeah, because the poor guy's got nothing. Like he's got a mobile phone, and it's kind of like I was talking to the agent just the day before about how I've got the home studio set up and ready for voiceovers. The podcast is still going, and I've even done a few corporate jobs where it's presenting to camera. So from here, so the more flexible you are, the easier you are to sort of unlock unlock opportunities at the moment. That was the
Yeah.
conversation.
Well,
and she basically said from that the next day, oh, hang on a minute, you don't have it. Well, wait, let me put you in touch with Max. Maybe he can help you out because he's sort of ready to go.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, well, I spoke to Grant, who I guess I'm calling my acting mentor, coach, or whatever.
Your guru,
moment, so I spoke,
Grant Thompson.
Yeah, guru. Exactly. I spoke to him. So this Friday, he's helping me do the self-tapes for that. I have a feeling it's the same audition for Mulner's.
Okay.
For that. So he's going to help me self-tape that. So he has a good camera and knows his stuff. So I don't have to worry about any of that and just concentrate on the acting, which is really
good. Yeah. And
yeah,
years and years of
acting
experience to help you.
Oh,
and I'm not just calling him old.
Yeah.
Don't tell him I said that.
He still does castings and he's still he's still got all those connections and he knows what the right thing to do is. And he's told me to, think outside the box, try and do something different that everyone else would do. Like, don't look at the script and just do do the context that it says. So I've come up with these ideas, so hopefully they're cool. Yeah, I have a feeling it's for the same role that you're helping this kid.
It could be. I haven't even looked at the script yet. I know I will.
Which apparently
before Thursday.
It could also. Have you been sent a script?
Yes. And
yes.
how to record and all the usual stuff they send out when it comes to self-tapes.
So I think what it says is that it's not a script. It's not a script from the actual film because it's still in early days of development.
Okay.
And Grant seems to think that, or apparently Mulner's and other casting agents seem to sometimes do stuff like that when it's just a go-see, but they don't tell you that it's a go-see.
Okay.
So it could be for an actual role or it could be just to see where you're at. Because we have no information about the film and we have no information about the role except for that they want an 18 to 22-year-old lead male.
Yeah.
So, and this script is just a general audition script. It's not from the film.
Okay. That's interesting. Either way, you're getting yourself in front of the right people for when the industry's back up and running.
It has to be top-notch, perfect acting because it's going to be, Mulner's looking at hundreds.
God, I mean, anytime you get in front of a casting director, and that's what I mean. When you're not, you work on your monologues, you work on your craft, you stay work fit, so that when the opportunity does fall in your lap, and it could be last minute, as it often is, where you go to do a go-see or a part, but you're in front of a casting director, like a casting agency like Mulner's in Australia. Well, you want to have your stuff together so that you can focus on owning that scene.
Yeah, and that's what I've been doing over the past week or so, and so concentrating on that stuff. And I think we spoke about it in a couple of other podcasts where kind of Grant stripped me down and started me from basics, sort of thing. Yeah, which I did need. So that's good. I'm very excited. I can see the improvement already. So hopefully.
It's great. It's great, and I mean,
me places.
We're not standing still. We're not idle in this time. It's not about downtime, so to speak. There's other. We can still push forward and work on opportunities and stay work fit, which is great.
Fit. Get some exercises in. Yeah. Are you still going to the gym or are you doing stuff?
No, gym's closed. Gym's closed, and because I'm in rehab with my shoulder, still.
Yeah.
The physio, I've got to go to the physio twice a week where they beat the crap out of me and use their torture equipment. And now they've introduced an electronic shock thing.
Do they just show you a Subaru? Like a photo of a Subaru?
No. Unfortunately, it doesn't plug into like the mains power. It's like batteries, thank God, because basically you put two little pads on my shoulder where the muscle is that's sort of coming back to life so slowly. And it literally sends an electrical pulse for 10 seconds while I'm sort of holding a lifting whatever it is I'm doing my exercise thing, and then it just keeps doing that for a while, and you can only do it like every couple of days because it's full on. And so I've got that, and then I can't go to the gym, so I've got like exercises from the exercise physiologist, which is like some personal trainer with 4 years of medical experience to help do training in the park or training at home, and then once a week he zooms me over Zoom and he makes sure I'm doing it properly and introduces new torture treatment. I haven't got on top of
the Zoom yet.
Haven't you?
Got on top of the Zoom trend. No, I don't even have
Get on board.
Yet.
Get on board. Although it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. Let me give you an example.
What do you mean?
Comedian in Australia, Hamish Blake, decided to do a volunteer. If you've got a Zoom meeting coming up and you want me just to sort of ghost in, send me the details. So there he was, just appearing in people's meetings and going and doing his thing, being funny and all that. Except one of them was run by the Australian Defence Force. It was an instructor briefing for flying, for pilots, flying people, pilots. And apparently it's probably not a good idea to just randomly invite someone who's not in the ADF into one of your...
No, it'd be all confidential.
So the Defence Force sent around an edict today going, we are no longer using Zoom. So
Oh my God. Wait, so who invited him into this confidential...
I'm sure that person... I'm sure they've worked out who that is, but there was a couple of high-ranking people. And in fact, if you can track down Hamish, I'll put a link on social, because if you can track it down, it's so funny. He's there going, and by the looks of some people's faces, I probably shouldn't be in this meeting, so I'm just going to get out now.
Oh no!
Had his best-looking flight jacket on and everything. Anyway, wasn't to be.
Oh my God.
So Zoom can be dangerous. The last thing it wants to piss off the government right now, when they've got all these huge powers, right, to stop you walking in groups of 3 or something. So
yeah. Oh God.
That's
God.
awesome.
I watched The Invisible Man, by the way.
No, did you? Finally?
Yeah.
Oh, finally. I mean, it's
Finally.
not on the cinema. I mean, that's right. That was
finally
fast-tracked to video on demand.
Mm.
Did you like it?
I did.
Oh, God.
It was good.
It's a lot of silence. I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting.
No, it was good. It was really good. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
But it was so, like, it had Lee Whannell's fingerprint on it. Like, if you've seen Upgrade and
it's
you
cool,
know, all
isn't
the
it?
other stuff he's done, it's got that. Yeah, and it's just like, it's such a terrifying thought. The end was very cool. I was like, yes! Yes!
It's awesome,
Do
isn't
it!
it? We won't spoil it for
Yeah,
people,
and
but it's all, like, and how good are those master shots where everything's still and is something moving in the background or not? Like, is he there or isn't he? It's like, what?
I think those shots, which Lee Whannell I really loved from Upgrade, like all his cinematography, but those shots were so cool. Like,
Yep.
they're just staying, instead of following the actor, just like staying.
Yep. Building up the
Like, still
suspense, the
frame.
Hitchcock. Yeah, he's put the idea of how it will
there's
look
someone
if
there.
it puts the idea in your head of how it will look to the audience of when the Invisible Man's there and what him moving through a scene would look like. So then you're forever watching that on those long master shots going, oh my God, is he there or isn't he?
So
Did something just move?
And I didn't realize that the Invisible Man was part of, like, I did know, but it didn't really connect that this movie was part of the dark universe. So like the Mummy and all that stuff. Apparently it's all like the Invisible Man has been a concept for a long time, and they've made movies before.
Yes, and TV series.
Yeah, and apparently Lee Whannell was like fixing the problem which everyone kept coming up with over the years about, well, if the Invisible Man's eyes are invisible, he shouldn't actually be able to see. Because if his eyes are invisible, then he can't. How can he see? So he fixed that problem by, I don't want to spoil anything, but you know how he fixed that problem.
Yeah, I
he
think
made
that, and that's what the
something else,
producer said. Making a more contemporary interpretation using a bit of current science and near future sort of Black Mirror type envisionary to come up with a practical, logical way for the audience to believe of the invisibility. Because originally,
It's
drink a magic potion and poof, you come out of the... and that
Very
sort of
old-fashioned.
happens really quickly. So it's less about how does it happen. It's more about the suspense between the relationship of these two individuals, which is great.
And the house that they, that was their house, the really nice one.
The huge one, yes, south of Sydney.
Yeah, I looked up... Yeah, it's in, what is it, Gerringong?
Yes, down on the south coast. It was actually one of the people who work for Create New South Wales who recommended it because they were having so much trouble finding this luxury mansion on a cliff top. And because, if you've got money in Sydney, you're living by the harbour with a view of the bridge and the Opera House. So there was quite a long time before they found that property. And it was someone who worked at Create New South Wales who helped with the funding.
Oh, wow.
Who recommended
it. It's an Airbnb, and I looked it up, and
you
it's
can stay there too.
$3,400 per night.
That's Australian dollars, so that's still a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Aussie dollars. So,
Probably, although we're not allowed to go on holidays. We're not even allowed to go regional holidays. We're not even allowed to travel out of the Sydney to go on holidays at the moment. So, anyway, bring that up again. I've got another event coming up. This is a part of AFI ACTA industry event where it's kind of like a Zoom thing. We're basically, it's in two parts. We're given access to a new season of Mystery Road. There was a movie, then there was a season. Now there's another season, movie and a series is what I'm trying to say. And now there's another season that's about to launch. I think it's 13th of April in Australia. So we're able to watch the first couple of episodes over Easter weekend. And then Monday night, we have a Q&A with Warwick Thornton, who's the actor, director, writer, I should say, and Wayne Blair, and producers Greer Simpkin and David Jousey. So two directors, and Warwick's obviously an actor as well, and two of the producers. So it'll be really interesting because I know I loved the movie. We're talking, Hugo Weaving and like a raft of classic Australian actors who were just so well cast. You'd feel like you're walking out into the desert and about to run into them. But Warwick Thornton's a great talent, so that was awesome. It opened the Sydney Film Festival years ago, the movie, and was so well received. So hence why it's been able to go into another series. Also this week, I've been invited back to the world of Storyville. If we remember Max's volunteer role before he got hit by a car to go to Plunkett Street Primary and read to children.
He doesn't want to scare the children. You can't go in with like a...
No, and plus if they'd have touched my sore shoulder, I mean, I can't be held responsible for what I might have said. That probably not PG. But anyway, I have to turn my PG Max voice on Thursday afternoon, 3 p.m. I'm sure you're all going to tune in. Slightly different audience, but but basically it's a live stream for children to join in and watch. Which when school was on too, I sometimes went and not only read to the children at Plunkett Street and got them excited about stories, but also did a live stream to regional schools in remote Australia. So there was a few on. One, I remember, went out and bought a microphone and a camera just so they could do... because it was happening. And
look at you being all charitable.
It was so cute. All the little kids there waving. It was some town. Oh, God, I can't remember where it was. Somewhere remote Australia. But fantastic. So anyway, so this is about me broadcasting from... hopefully there's nothing offensive behind me. No, it all looks good. So that I can just read here and go straight to children wherever they are joining into live stream 3 p.m. Thursday, Australian time. So yeah, different audience to the podcast, that's for sure. Also had an offer to do a film, horror thriller.
Oh yes, I saw you put that up on something.
Yeah, and which is exciting. I applied. I didn't get to audition for a role in a film last year, and the director's come back. I don't know yet. Like I haven't even looked at the details yet. But basically, he said, "Look, based on your application last time, just weren't suitable for the role, but we've got a role for you that we think would be perfect for, and it's a detective. So it's another detective. I think I've just played like 3 times. I know.
Wait,
but look,
this student though, you don't know.
No. It's an indie production.
So you're being paid for it?
No. It's an indie production. Okay. So what I'm about to say is the reason why I haven't dived straight into all of the details is because I've been busy doing paid stuff. And because it is an indie production where the crew and cast aren't paid, and it is also another role where Max is playing a detective. So I'm going to sit down and cozy up to some of the script and have a little look at it later on in the week. I said, no, I'll get back to you later on in the week. So, but look, it's good to start. And I've lined up other stuff for when the world comes back to normal. Like I've still got the play, which has been rescheduled to September.
When would this film? When would you do this?
No idea. Basically, it was when the world starts to go back to normal. I know in Australia at the moment, it's April the 7th and the curve is well and truly flattened and, we're all saying good things, but I think minimum was 90-day lockdown. That started a couple of weeks ago, so we're in it for 3 months at least. Hopefully that means after that 3-month period, we can start to gradually get back to somewhat normal, but at the end of the day, I think September is the rough penciled-in date for the second try of the No Intermission season, where Lipstick the Play will be on. So I've got a rough idea of when that's going. So I've scheduled that in. This film, it just depends. Like they haven't even looked at it yet in terms of dates. The pre-production is almost 70% finished. I mean, there's not much else to do. And I've just got to have a look. And if I really like the script and I kind of like the way they work, I kind of like, what they've said so far. So it just comes down to the character and the script and, which is kind of a lot really for an actor. Oh, yes. But, I guess...
Comes down to the character and the script and the role.
Just the character and the script, other than that...
Everything the actor should
everything
be
else is great.
On.
Yeah. So what would make me say, oh my God, yes, is if the script is, it's really interesting, whether it be a short film or feature film, if the script is really interesting and if this detective is just a bit different, because I've been playing detectives somewhat straight of late,
Be like a dirty detective or something.
A bit, interesting.
Yeah, well, make him interesting. Just be I'm going against everything the director says anyway. And just
exactly. Well, it'll be kind of creating freedom. Sort of thinking about an interesting character. And I talked to the director first to sort of say, look, if I did like the script, okay, here's a short film that just dropped, the interrogation. Here's me playing a detective, so I can play a detective. Okay, tick.
Is it out? The interrogation?
It is.
Where is it?
I put links on my social. It's on my YouTube channel as well. I think I put it on my YouTube channel, but I'll link it into the podcast social this week as well. But and it's going to do the festival circuit and all that sort of stuff if festivals ever start up again. If the script's interesting and if I have a chat to the director and say, I can play the detective, but I want to make the character a bit more interesting in this way or that way, or can I go back to you sort of thing, and have a bit more time to sort of let that sit with me to play a character that's kind of interesting but just happens to be a detective, rather than playing your stock sort of detective versus killer type scene.
What's that film? Is it Dexter or something, where the detective kills serial killers or something in his free time?
That'd kind of change the plot a bit as well as the script, but I don't want to have to change the script. I just want to have to look at it and go, okay, this guy could have a few quirks, or it could be, or maybe it's more funnier, and that you can dial up the humor in the character, or just something to make it a bit more. If you remove the job of being a detective, would you want to talk to this guy, sort of thing? Make it a bit more interesting in that respect. Food for thought. So that one's hanging in the air as an opportunity, potentially.
You could do that pretty easily.
I could do lots of things pretty easily, but...
Like, if you didn't offer me podcasts, I wouldn't want to bump into you in the street.
What?
You're terrifying.
Cutting that bit out. I had a meeting with people at Facebook early in the week and talking about how best to promote the podcast, because more listeners is better. And
I mean, yes.
They talked me through a program, kind of like a campaign of how to advertise successfully and grow awareness and reach. So I filmed like a 15-second, well, it was actually 13-second introductory sort of video thing and made it, dubbed it a bit so it was really easy to hear and made it really easy to see from like a mobile device that kind of helped to lead people through to the podcast. So if you click the link, then it'll take you, the landing page will be the podcast all episodes page. So it'll take you to the latest episode. Yeah, all through Facebook and Instagram. So they're businesses.
Cool. When this whole thing blows over as well, we should redo our intro video.
Yeah, I know, when we can get that together again.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. We'll redo
when we could be in the same room. It would be kind of strange.
We did that on the first day we met.
I know, no pressure.
So we need to redo it.
And that was, 33 episodes ago.
Wow.
Who'd have thought? 33. I remember at the time going, the average podcast doesn't make it past 7 episodes. And I was all big about this 7th episode. Like, we're just going to fall over and die before the 8th episode. Now we're up 33. It's pretty cool. Movies. So you saw The Invisible Man, and we talked about Broadchurch. You were into that series last week.
Have you seen it yet?
No, but
Watch it.
You know what I did? Because I was the world is. I had 2 voiceover jobs in one day. One was about personal protective equipment, and the other one was some deep, we're a business and we're changing, and it's all about the culture and the people, and we're amazing. Come work for us. Roughly, just to save you 5 minutes. And I thought, I just want to forget about all that sort of stuff. Forget about the corona world and everything. I thought, what's on that I can just tune out to totally, park all of my brain cells and just laugh away. I hit upon, completely by accident, Coffee and Kareem. Have you heard about that movie?
No.
Exactly. No.
What is
I
it?
didn't know it existed. I didn't know it existed until I found it. I think it was Netflix. Ed Helms, who I loved in The Office and The Hangover, and he's a funny guy just about whatever he does.
Is that the nerdy dude from The Hangover?
Yeah.
I know.
He really funny guy, really talented comic, and I thought, okay, this is going to be, maybe I'll get halfway. Look, it scored 5.1 or something on IMDb. I'm like, I just want to tune out, but it was actually really funnier than I thought. I found myself laughing out loud a few more times than I care to admit. It was really interesting. What's it was
called?
Funny. Coffee and Kareem.
Kareem.
It's just
as in like a dude named Kareem.
As in dudes' names, yes. And it was actually, there's some really good lines in it. So I'll put a link in our social again for that. You know what's been really interesting for me to see on social media? How other actors are dealing with these creative juices that don't stop flowing while they're isolated. I watched a great little movie starring, I should say, Sam Neill and Hugo Weaving.
Oh, two Aussies.
Two of them in the bath together. It's hilarious. It's just weird.
Is it a film?
Come on. It was like a 1 minute thing on Instagram, and they both filmed it independently in their own respective baths, but it's basically the two of them. Sam's in a bath having a great time, and then Hugo Weaving just turns up. What are you doing, mate? Pass the soap. Let's go. And it was really funny. I'll share it in our social because it's just so
there
really
are
funny.
A lot of like isolation ones, like Simon Pegg, and I forgot the other guy's name from like Shaun of the Dead, those comedy shows and Hot Fuzz and all that stuff.
Yes.
They did like a recreation of Shaun of the Dead, but like coronavirus kind of style. It was pretty good. Like all these people, like you're saying, are just you can't, like, creatives that are this creative just can't stop.
I know.
And if you
start writing, start creating, start filming. It's like it's a great, and you've got a dedicated audience. So there's nothing else to do. Yeah. As we all finish our lists on Netflix, we're all waiting for something else, and there's only so much YouTube you can do. But also an Instagram from Taika Waititi, the New Zealand director actor, about him quitting filmmaking and taking up sewing. And he posts a couple of things that look kind of interesting and not really lifelike at all that he sewed. That was quite entertaining. Particularly dramatic when, you start the post with, I'm quitting filmmaking to take up sewing because I'm so good. And you look at these things and go, yeah,
you're not. But also, if you're at home, like obviously, if you're a creative, if you're an actor, just keep practicing and keep fun. There are heaps of thousands of scripts out there on the internet, and even if during your downtime you watch Netflix stuff, technically you're educating yourself if it's the field you want to go into. Just watch and analyze the acting. I've been doing a lot of that.
You've got industry publications like Variety, who there I was participating in a Q&A with an actress on Instagram. And then, you've got industry events that are still going on, certainly in Australia, and there's no reason why you can't hook in. Well, unless it's an AFI actor, you've got to be a member. But hey, there's also other, like I did one with the union, MEAA here in Australia, which you could apply for, and I got accepted, with Deanna Cooney, who's a voiceover actress, an actor, and also a voiceover coach. Get into it. I know it inspired me because it's got a basic setup. How do you start doing voiceovers and how do you get an agent, that sort of stuff, which I kind of know, although I haven't got an agent yet. How to set up a home studio. And she said, my question was because I saw a lot of voiceover agents
Can you
sharing...
not get RMK voices or RMK for you? Like, are they not
No,
accepting
I've applied.
You?
Yeah,
what?
no.
How? If you can't get it, how is it, like, how does...
Well,
starting out voiceover artists have hope with that?
I know it could be that... It could just be that there's a lot of guys on there that sound like me that can do lots of corporate work and stuff. So do they need another one?
Just make your voice slightly higher and do some I don't know.
Yeah, no, my dad. My question to her was, at the moment, with everyone having to set up all these home studios all of a sudden, all these voiceover artists, hiding in the cupboard with blankets and stuff, trying to recreate a studio sound. Here I am with a professional setup, a page of clients, is now a good time to call agents and say, hey, I'm here if you need someone who sounds like me with a studio? And she's like, absolutely yes, because even for her, with her agents, they said to clients, here's a list of our talent that has voiceover setup. We're still working, they're still ready to go. So the ones that are ready to adapt real quick and can, literally like plug into a studio, perfect. So it's inspired me to make some calls this week and see if that can, see if I can unlock opportunities that way as well. So, so you're absolutely right, mate. Go online, be a part of stuff, be a part of conversations, Facebook groups, conversations on social media, industry events, non-industry events. Just there's so much out there to be able to educate yourself. I mean, look, even if you're not sure where to go, have a look through our episode descriptions. We've got 33 of them now, and there'll be lots of interesting tips that you might want, and then just tune in. You've been listening to Max
and Sam
on Two Unemployed Actors.
Just a new one every week.
It's been great having you in our
Let's
do that again.
Sorry, yeah.
That was random. You've been listening to Two Unemployed Actors. I'm Max.
I'm Sam.
And we will be back next week with more behind the scenes information, more acting tips, just more.
Two unemployed actors.
Lovely. All right. You look retarded.
Do you don't want me to do it?
No, you do whatever you want. It's cool.
Okay. Hold on. So I'm holding the world in my hand.
The world in your hands.
Oh shit, did I just break it? No, I didn't.
Don't break the world's already broken, mate. You're late.
Yeah, no, true.